host, Data T, and this is my channel, The Good Guys. Guys, today's story comes from The Trace, and the title reads, "In America, accidental shootings among children occur nearly every other day." Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm going to be reading this story in its entirety, but before I do, please give the channel a like, a comment, subscribe. Remember, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I know we can get there with your help. The channel is seeing steady growth, and I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. Guys, also, you can reach me on Twitter. You can reach me on Minds and even on Truth Social. So we are going to dive right into this story. And under the subtitle, it says here, over the past year, 162 children under 13 shot themselves or another child with an unsecured gun. Now, guys, this is touching. This is very sad. And me being a father is probably the best privilege I've ever had in my life. And this story probably gonna touch me, but I'm going to come at it as a new father, and I am going to tell you what I plan to do, and then what I think other parents should do when they have guns in the home. Okay, so let's go through this story, and I'll be interjecting as I go through it. It says here, on May 16th in Houston, a 4-year-old boy found a gun that belonged to a visiting relative and shot his 1-year-old brother in the leg, wounding him. Their father told a local news outlet that his older son liked to play with toy guns and probably didn't realize this one was real. So I would say here, guys, on this particular subject, if this is really what has happened, I gotta tell you, this is sad. And having the gun around and not secured, it is tragic. And there are cases where you can keep your gun accessible, not locked up, and away from children. And at the same time, if they are old enough, you can teach them the difference between a real gun and a toy gun. Okay, I think covering the 4 firearm basic safety rules, the first one being do not point at anything you're not willing to destroy, and I think that could cover it. But let's see what these links say. Let's start with the first one. It says shot. So it talks about the 4-year-old accidentally shot, okay, in Texas. All right. Don't need to go through that. Let me see what this one says. This talks about the 1-year-old will be okay after he accidentally shoots the 4-year-old brother. That's a good thing. Okay. This here, if we go further down, it says a reader moved by tragedies like these wrote in and asked us how often a child unintentionally shoots another child with an unsecured gun. Here's what the data says. A shooting almost every other day. Now, if that is true, then that is sad. And I think, we used to be able to teach children, period, in this country. But now it's everything is the pussification of education, of responsibility, and no wonder this has gone up, because if we were teaching firearm safety, I believe a lot of these numbers would drop significantly. Okay. It says here, to answer the reader's question, we pulled data from the Gun Violence Archive. Let's see what that says. Okay, this talks about, let's see, Gun Violence Archive. This talks about all these guns. here. Now, the age that they are covering, they cover from 0, and this is to 17. But we know that these people are covering everything from 0 to 19. Okay. And if we look at this one here, it says here 675, 734, 675, 65, 1,000, 1,000. So got a big spike there in 2020, 2021, 2022, and we have yet to see 2023, but it looks like the number has already gone up during this year. Okay. Let's see, number of teens. And one of these things that we have to highlight is the the rampant crime that these teens are committing. Okay, I think there should be a breakdown there for these teens that are criminals and deserve to be shot. Okay, not killed, but definitely deserve a bullet or two. Okay, it says here, a nonprofit that tracks shootings in near real time through news clip and police reports. We decided to look only at incidents in which both the shooter and the victim were under the age of 13 years of age. Well, that's kind of unfair. You have to do it as a whole. It says here, our analysis found that between May 1st, 2022 and April 30th, 2023, there were at least 162 incidents in which a child under 13 picked up a gun and fired it, inadvertently wounding or killing themselves or another child under 13. A total of 71 children were killed and 96 were injured. Now, guys, this is sad. This is sad. But out of the total number of children, this is very small, especially in a nation of 300 million people. How many of those people are children? And yes, I agree. Each case is sad and one child too many. But guys, 162 incidents out of how many children in the United States? Is it that big of a problem? I don't know. I can't say that it's a huge problem. It's a huge tragedy, but I don't think it's a huge problem. Okay, so this talks about a bunch of shootings here. This is okay, so this talks about, they give you a whole bunch of data on all of the shootings, and they do have references. This is good. This is good that they keep data on this, but I always wonder if the Trace keeps the same kind of data about how many people use their guns in self-defense and use their guns for good. But I don't think the Trace would ever do anything like that. Okay, let's move on. It says that our analysis found that between May 1st, 2022 and April 30th, there were at least 162 incidents in which a child under 13 picked up a gun and fired it, inadvertently wounding or killing themselves or another child under 13. A total of 71 children were killed and 96 were injured. More than 2/3 of the shootings were self-inflicted. Such was the case in Indianapolis on April 16th when a 6-year-old Billy Mack fatally shot himself with a gun that his parents thought was out of his reach. Ooh, now that is scary. Okay, his family reportedly kept the gun for protection. A family's life has been changed forever, and unfortunately, it is because of a weapon, because of a gun. A police officer said, "No, guys, this is not because of a gun. This is because of, I have to say it. It's negligence. This is not because of a gun. It's negligence. The gun was for a good purpose, to protect the family. So you have to keep those guns out of sight, out of mind for the children. Okay, I have safes for all of my guns, and I wish this article would have talked to at least, or maybe it will come up, at least talk to a family member that has children in the house and has guns. On my channel, I have a number of children under, let's say, definitely probably under the age of 16, where they were able to retrieve their firearm from either their parents, where they kept it, and defend themselves, defend their siblings, and defend even their parents. Okay, so I would say this is negligence. It's not because of a weapon, it's not because of a gun. Okay, several of these incidents involved siblings shooting each other. In July 2022 in Muncie, Indiana, a 6-year-old boy killed his 5-year-old sister with a gun he found in his parents' safe. The boy told police he found the key and opened the safe when his mother was taking a nap. Yeah, that's tough. And that his father had recently taken him shooting at a local range. On January 23rd in Shreveport, Louisiana, a 5-year-old boy shot his 9-year-old sister with an unsecured handgun he found in the home, wounding her in the arm and stomach. On March 12th in Harris County, Texas, a 3-year-old girl unintentionally killed her 4-year-old sister with a handgun she found in a bedroom. Among the 138 cases in which the exact ages of children were known, the median age of the kids who pulled the trigger was 4 years old. The youngest victim was 5-month-old girl. Wow. Wounded her 3-year-old brother in Tampa. Last September, the boy found a gun at his mother's home and shot his baby sister in the hip. Okay, guys, these are all cases. I'm actually tearing up about this. Okay, because I got a newborn at home, and it is my intention to teach firearm safety and to teach how to use a firearm. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to, this will not deter me. Okay. If anything, it will make me more vigilant on the storage of my firearms, even though there will be a point in this child's life where she will be able to access that firearm. Okay. Only when I deem, as the parent, only when I deem she is responsible. Okay. So anyway, let's move on. It says here, states with weak gun laws had the most incidents. In our sample of incidents, the states with the highest number over the past year was Texas, Louisiana, Missouri, Indiana with 10, and Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Tennessee with 9 each. All of these states have generally permissive gun laws and little or no regulation governing how guns are stored in the home or around children, according to Giffords Law Center, the legal of the gun reform group. Now, guys, let's go to this one here. Let's see what they say. It says here, the gun law, annual gun law scorecard. Okay, grading the states. Okay, get in touch. Okay, so this is talking about gun law strength, and I'm going to tell you, folks, usually I guess what they left out of this article is the guns with the strictest gun laws, or the strictest or the strongest gun laws, they usually have more crime. Everybody knows what goes on in Chicago. This past weekend, or the Memorial weekend, how many people were shot? 44 people. Okay, 10 died, I think. Okay, so look at California. Look at New York. Look at how bad that state is. Okay, they have the strictest gun law and the most crime. So I wish the Trace would have highlighted that, but they didn't. Big surprise, right? Let's move on. These are states that have a really different culture around guns, which is true, which also influences gun ownership rates, said Allison Anderman, Senior Counsel and Director of Local Policy at Givers Law Center. And I think a culture where an individual's identity is much more associated with a gun ownership also contributes to guns being left accessible. This is true. Okay, I'll tell you, before I met, before I was even as single, I used to have a gun under the pillow. Okay, I used to sleep with it underneath my pillow just in case. Okay, and there are other times where they will plainly left on it. Before I met my spouse, I never even had a safe. Then I got a safe. Now there's even more safes because of the newborn. Okay, and I got to tell you, there should be no laws that govern safe storage. I don't believe that. Okay, in the event you have to defend yourself, guys, I don't know about you, but I don't know if you guys are going to remember the code at that time. Some of you may not. Stress will come upon you, and all of a sudden that number is no longer in your head. Okay, a lot of people get a biometric safe to negate that, or they have a key on their keychain, but then that leads to a number of things. If you have the keys, then it's easily accessible, all those things. So for me, I even keep all my guns loaded. Every gun is loaded. Okay, my AR-15, my shotgun, all my handguns, all of them are loaded just in case. And so now, if I always pick up a gun and always believe that it's loaded, I'm a whole lot more careful. Keep your finger off the trigger. Don't point at anything that you're not willing to destroy. Correct? Okay, these are the gun safety rules. If you abide by them, it will dramatically decrease self-inflicted wounds or even gunshots against people and your loved ones. Okay, and yes, we are talking about children, but they should be taught to children. If you have a gun in the home, as soon as this consciousness, teach them. I believe that's what we should do. Okay, and we should even have, programs that do this. Teach gun safety to children. Why not? Okay. Anyway, says here, the unprecedented rollback of state gun laws in the past decade and a half has contributed to the laissez-faire attitude ground gun storage and handling, said Eric Flieger. I would say this unprecedented rollback, they may be talking about constitutional carry. Let's see. Yep, that's what they are. These states allow gun owners to carry without a license, and it's fantastic, okay? Because this whole license and may issue, shall issue is a bunch of bullshit, and it is unconstitutional, in my opinion, to give anybody to make people acquire licenses, especially for a right. All right. It says here, the unprecedented rollback of state gun laws in the past decade and a half has contributed to laissez-faire attitude around gun storage and handling, said Eric Flieger, an emergency physician at Boston Children's Hospital and an associate professor of pediatrics and emergency medicine at Harvard Medical School. Stand your ground and permitless carry laws in particular have encouraged a cavalier attitude towards a highly lethal thing, a gun, and people truly fundamentally do not understand it. No, sir, you don't understand it. Okay? Stand your ground and having a can-do attitude about making sure that you can adequately, you should feel confident in your ability to draw your firearm and put range and put bullets on a target. You should be confident about that. There's nothing, we're not going to walk around confidently thinking, okay, I can shoot anybody, or no. That's not the confidence that we are aspiring to. We want to be competent in our training. Okay? I think that's what this guy has left out. It says here, do laws make a difference? Flieger added, the answer is yes, but the laws unto themselves are not the only thing that we have to think about. Motivations for gun ownership have also changed over the past 50 years. And that's influenced the type of guns people own, on how these guns are stored. Gun production data and gun owner surveys show a shift away from hunting and sporting firearms toward concealable handguns for self-defense. I wonder why. After 2020, is it really that big of a revelation that people are buying guns for self-defense? Jesus Christ. It says in 1970, rifles and shotguns routinely outsold pistols and revolvers, accounting for 64% of domestic firearm production. Today, handguns account for 58% of domestic firearm manufacturing. Well, I tell you what, another part of the reason why these handguns have proliferating is because of the assault weapons ban. Okay, so when the assault weapons ban, thanks to Joe Biden, when he put that in effect, a lot of these manufacturers started to produce handguns with 10 rounds. Okay, so it actually furthered the development of handguns. So now, in this case, especially, we look at the micro market. A lot of these guns are selling like hotcakes. You have the P365. You have it has a comp and it's a very compact gun. You have the Springfield XDS. You have the Springfield Hellcat. These the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. You have these compact firearms, okay, that people can easily conceal and use them for self-defense, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and thanks to Mr. Joe Biden, we jumped in the need for concealable firearms, okay, and gave us not only the single stacked magazine, but some of the double stacked magazine. So you got a micro thing, and you can get at least 12, 14, 50 rounds and something that can fit in your pocket. It's awesome. Okay, anyway, let's move on. It says here, if people are owning guns in areas primarily because they are hunters and they like to use them for sports related stuff, as opposed to places where people own guns because they believe they need them for protection in their home, it's likely that guns are going to be stored differently. Not true. Okay, it says guns intended for defensive use are more likely to be kept readily accessible and loaded. This is true, which poses the greater risk to kids. An estimated 4.6 million kids live in a home with at least one unlocked loaded gun. A 2021 survey of American adults from Harvard and Northeastern University found, according to a 2022 survey, gun owners from Rutgers University, 58% of respondents said they kept at least one firearm hidden but unlocked. Of that number, 45% say they did so because locks would prevent quick access to their gun in emergency, which is true. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that guns in households with children should be unloaded and locked storage with ammunition stored separately. Guys, I'm going to tell you, this comes down to a personal decision. Okay, me personally, I keep a lot of my firearms loaded, okay, just in case. And I guarantee you, every firearm, and this goes for a lot of different people, they will keep them in an area that is easily accessible. But we do have responsible people, guys, and the reason why I say this is because this number that we've been given, 132, 162 of all of these children that have been shot, guys, it's not even in the thousands. It's not. It is a very small number. It is a detrimental number. One too many children is more than enough. That I agree with, but I'm sorry. In the vast scale of things, okay, it is not, and it's really not an issue. On a personal level, absolutely, but this is not this is not an epidemic. This is not an epidemic that we need to be concerned. If you are concerned, why not offer gun safety classes for children? We should have them. But I guarantee, as soon as it comes out or the word is out that, hey, we have gun safety for kids, holy shit, somebody's gonna lose it. Okay, so anyway, let's move on. Okay, if we check these links, let's say the 2021 survey, it's gonna talk about, it will talk about exactly what is mentioned in the article, so we can skip those. Okay, and let's move on. It says the American Academy of we were there already, stored separately. It says what policies can help reduce shootings involve kids. Okay, let's see if they even mention training or gun safety training. It says here, gun reform advocates and some researchers say the most effective way to reduce unintentional shootings involving children are safe storage laws, which require guns to be stored, locked up, and out of reach, and child access prevention cap laws, which impose penalties on adults who fail to store guns securely around children. I don't agree. The 4 rules of firearms, guys, should be the top of the list. Okay, they should be the top of the list. Okay, always I get this. Okay, treat all guns as if they are loaded. Never let the muzzle point at anything you are not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you have made the decision to shoot. Be aware of your target and what is behind it. Okay, these things should be plastered everywhere. You should make your children memorize that. I would even say they should know these things before they even put their hands on the gun. Okay? So I don't agree with what this is saying. I don't agree. To punish them? You want to punish the children? Don't you think they've been punished enough if their children get shot? Most of these parents probably would kill themselves. So what is a law going to do? Anyway, according to Giffords Law Center, which tracks gun policies across the country, only 2 states require unattended guns to be locked up at all times: Massachusetts and Oregon. Oregon is a whole can of worms there. Violators in Oregon are subject to fines, which violators in Massachusetts are subject to both fines and imprisonment. Neither state appears in our data set. 5 additional states require guns to be safely stored around people ineligible to possess guns, including children: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, and New York. So you have a state that does put this on the books. They've never had any incidents in their states, but the ones that are required also says to be stored safely around people ineligible to possess guns are out of California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, and New York. Okay, I don't, to be honest, what to make of this is a bunch of jazz. But if they're trying to make the case that those laws and stiff punishments are effective, I would say no. No, there's no evidence of that, because we're not having children shoot themselves on a mass scale. It's not happening. Okay, in my opinion, you know what? This whole article is making something big out of nothing. It really is. It is something, guys. On a personal level, I can't say that it's not. Especially, right now I'm thinking about my daughter. This entire time I'm reading this article. Okay, but I can't say it's a huge problem. I can't. Okay, it says states with child access prevention or safe lowers laws. CAP. Okay, and CAP stands for Child Access Prevention. Impose penalties on adults, firearms around an unsupervised minor. Okay. Yeah, if they're supervised, then it's not an issue. 18 other states and Washington, D.C. have CAP laws, which impose civil or criminal penalties if a child is able to or likely to gain access to a firearm, or use firearm to injure or kill someone. What if they injure or kill them in self-defense? Does that mean this is ridiculous? I cannot believe this. They need clarification on this. What if the child, and we have in many cases where children use firearms to defend themselves, family members, siblings, and parents, and if they shoot and kill an attacker, are you telling me that these CAP laws will kick in? That is ridiculous. This is a question that must be answered. I'm going to send an email to this reporter, and I'm doing quotations here, okay, and see if he will answer that. Okay. It says here, of the 9 states with the most incidents in our data set, only Texas and Florida have CAP laws. Texas imposes a fine when a child 16 or younger accesses a loaded gun, fine or jail time if a child shoots someone. Florida charges gun owners with a misdemeanor if they knowingly leave a gun where a child age 15 or younger is likely to find it, and the child then displays it in public or wields it in a threatening manner. Violators are subject to $500 fine or up to 60 days in jail. Michigan, which had the 6th highest number of incidents in our data set, just passed a law requiring gun owners to keep unattended guns unloaded and locked up around children. It takes effect next year. Okay, there are 2 types of CAP laws. One is more effective at preventing unintentional shooting deaths of younger children, who co-authored a 2020 study on the policies. What is this 2020 study? Let's see what it is. Okay, child access prevention, firearms laws, and firearm fatalities among children aged 0 to 14. You know, I wish I could log into the USCCA. They have a whole program on how you should introduce guns to children, and I think it's fantastic. And I think it's something that could be adopted, you know, in every state. I mean, and nationally. I mean, why not? I mean, we have over 400 million guns. And in my opinion, probably we got over close to 700 million guns. Okay, nobody knows how exactly number, especially people have 3D printers like myself. Okay, we can print a mass amount of firearms. Okay, anyway, it says here, these are 2 types of CAP laws, and one is more effective in preventing. Yes, we talked about that. He and his co-authors found that so-called recklessness laws, which hold gun owners liable only if they directly provide a gun to a child, and the child then uses that gun to harm someone, don't significantly reduce gun deaths in children. The parameters are too narrow to apply to a broad set of gun owners. Bluntly, the policy's effect. The researchers' findings suggest Texas and Florida CAP laws fall into this category. So, in this word salad, guys, it already says here, they don't significantly reduce gun deaths in children. Okay? So, what is the point of the law, right? Anyway, so-called negligence laws, which hold a homeowner liable when a gun is stored in a way that a child can gain access to it or use it, were associated with 13% reduction in unintentional firearm fatalities. Okay, among kids under 15. According to the Fliegler study, because negligence laws don't rely on an adult handling a child a gun or the child using a gun, they would apply to a larger number of cases. The strictest negligence law, which imposes liability if a child could potentially access a firearm but doesn't necessarily do so, was associated with a 59% reduction in unintentional firearm deaths over a 15-year period. Okay, so now they're making the case that it does reduce the firearm fatalities among 15 and under. All right, okay. It says here, laws that require guns to be secure stored are popular with the public and gun owners. I don't know about that. A 2019 American poll found that 79% of Americans and 60% of gun owners supported a requirement to store unattended guns with a lock in place. Okay, I may stand corrected here. Okay, let's look at this poll. APM survey Americans view gun policies. This looks like a Ruger 1022. Looks like it. Let's see. An overwhelming number of Americans, regardless of background, want guns to be stored with a lock in place. I don't know. I guess this is in terms when they have children. Okay, so I think, you know what? Maybe I'm in this category here, because if you have kids, yes, definitely you want to. I keep them all locked. I do, but they're all loaded. And in order to negate certain things, let's say if I am home, I will usually keep a firearm on me. I know that sounds crazy, but just in case someone pops into my door, and guess what? I don't need to go fumbling through a safe. I usually keep my firearm on me. You can say what you want on that one, okay? Let's move on. So, and it says here, the RAND Corporation, a public policy institute that rates cap laws as amongst the most effective gun violence reduction policy, recommends that states consider making child access to firearms a felony. But even in states with strong cap laws, enforcement depends on individual prosecutors. Say Anderman, the policy expert at Giffords. Sometimes this is my problem. You got a prosecutor who doesn't like the Second Amendment, he'll come after you. But then you got a prosecutor who is for the Second Amendment, and he'll let it go. All right? Two-tier justice system all the times. Okay, and sometimes when a child dies after accessing a parent's gun, the view among law enforcement is that the family has suffered enough. And it's true. They have suffered enough. And law enforcement is trying to say, you know what, dude, they just lost their child to an error in judgment. It is punishment enough. It's true. So why the heavy hand of the law? Anyway, another obstacle to cap law enforcement. So law enforcement doesn't like it. Who would have thought? Anderman said is that in states with strong gun culture, leaving a gun lying around isn't seen as a crime or even taboo, but necessary for self-defense. And this is true, guys. Okay, when the time comes, like I said, and that child is old enough, it will be left out. And that's for her benefit. And I think many different gun owners do the same thing. They teach their children, they teach them right from wrong, okay? Because there are parents out there that are responsible. And when they teach their children, they make sure to drill it into their head that this is not a goddamn toy. So when they do that, guess what? Children do listen, okay? Especially when it comes out of love and discipline, they will learn. And so you gauge your child and you realize if they're responsible enough, and then you say, hey, if anything, and I'm not home, it's there. And there have been more than enough cases, guys. I've said it many times. Okay, let's keep going. All right. So the consequence of all these things, permitless carry, stand your ground, and the notion that you need to be afraid and armed at all times, is that more people are getting shot. Bullshit. If anything, it's more bad guys are getting shot. So, my friend, he is wrong. He is definitely wrong. Okay. And this was written by Jennifer Macia. This lady, I'm telling you, every time she's on Twitter, she is vomiting at the mouth all the time. And let me tell you, okay, this woman right here, she is vomiting at the mouth all the time. And we constantly have to reply to this woman's idiotic statements. And she has just written an article, I think, definitely I'm going to have to respond to. I'll definitely ask her that question that I have. But guys, what do you think? Okay, what do you think? Is this an epidemic? Is this a huge problem? She wrote this in June. This was of this month first. Fairly brand new article. What do you guys think? Okay, is it a problem? I would wager to you, on a personal level, absolutely, but on a nationwide level, no, this is not a problem. Okay. I think a lot of gun owners, the vast majority of gun owners, are responsible. Okay. So I'll leave it at that. And one thing that I do know, okay, people who have guns are exercising their Second Amendment right. And I believe good guys have guns. I believe good guys should have guns. Good guys should always have guns, because if good men do nothing, there will be no good guys.